There we go. Now we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Little thing was spinning and spinning and spinning. I'm going, are we going to get live here or what? Yeesh. Flyers Blues pregame show. It's Flyers Game Day brought to you by Betway. There he is, Brian Smith in the city with the Arch. Did you go visit the St. Louis Arch today?
I did not go to the base of it. No, I can see it out my window, and
I think in St. Louis, you can see that from wherever you are because it's not that big of a city.
I think so. And it's also the only thing here. You know, that's why I guess they built it is to get people to come here. Is that the problem?
Well,
I
it's the
don't know.
gateway to the West.
Yeah, of course it is. Yes, uh, but
They have the Baseball Hall of Fame, correct?
the what?
Do they have the Baseball Hall of Fame there? Or is
No,
that
that's
Cooperstown?
Cooperstown. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I don't know what much there is here other than the Blues and the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are, they're definitely number one. That's for sure. That's become apparent. So
Yeah.
it's but it's a nice little area, and it's again, they've had we're right next to the empty football stadium where they've not had anything there for a couple of years now. I guess
Yeah.
the XFL is coming into town here. So that's a big deal, maybe. I don't know, but no, they're just they're a couple of years off at Stanley Cup here, and Blues really, of course, caught fire when that happened. So they're still riding off of that. Not going to make the playoffs this year, but there's still a lot of interest in them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and they were a team that just went on this magical ride. A lot of it behind that goaltending of Jordan Bennington, who will be in tonight, by the way, against Sam Erison. Erison gets the start for the Flyers. Hart's on the practice today, but not dressing tonight. I guess that Sandstrom will be the backup. Hart will perhaps get in maybe Thursday in Dallas. We'll see how that goes, dealing with that lower body injury. But yeah, I mean, St. Louis is Chief in trouble out there. I wonder if that's the question because they're a dead on 500 team.
Yeah,
They
I
traded
don't.
away Ryan O'Reilly. They traded away Tarasenko. They're moving to a younger, a mini rebuild on the fly. I wonder if Chief's in trouble out there.
I wouldn't. I haven't gotten that sense out here, and it's really for that reason that they are moving out. Some of these key pieces to that Stanley Cup team in an effort to prepare themselves to be ready to go for the very near future. I think both Doug Armstrong and Craig Berube probably have a pretty long leash here, at least at the moment, anyway. When you look at the way things transpired here this year, it certainly probably wasn't what they had hoped for. But at the same time, I think they've got their eyes on certain things for the future. I don't know off the top of my head how many more assets they still have to give up over this draft and other drafts because of what they were what they gave out in order to finalize their cup run. But they
Yeah.
brought in say they brought in some younger guys like you mentioned, Kasperi Kapanen coming in last year, and a few other guys that they're going to try to form a new core around and be right back in it next year.
Their team, they won the cup. So they didn't make the playoffs in the 17-18 season. Mike Yeo was let go, and they brought in Craig Berube, and they win the Stanley Cup. Mike Yeo started that season, as a matter of fact, 7-9-3, and Chief went 38-19-6.
Yeah.
Then the next year, they lost in the first round after winning 42 games. Then the shortened season, they won 27. They went 27-20-9. And then last year, they won a round, but they lost in the second round. And then this year, 35-35-7, about as vanilla as it gets. And that's where they are right now. I'll be interesting to see if Chief keeps his job out there. He's done a really good one out there. And if he does get let go, I mean, there's going to be a list of teams looking to pick him up. He'll be one of the top candidates this offseason.
A lot of people are just saying, they're just quick to say, oh, yeah, fire the coach, fire the coach, fire this, fire that. Well,
because it works.
It works. But at the same time, you got to ask, all right, well, who else is there? Who's next?
If not him, who
comes next? And they've tried that here. Like they had, remember when Mike Yeo was part of that succession plan with Ken Hitchcock? They were gonna Hitch was gonna go another year, and Yossi comes in as the associate head coach, and he's going to take over after the season. Well, then they didn't make it through the season before they made the switch, and things like that can get messy. So I mean, certainly there's candidates out there if you want to make a coaching change, but you also have to ask yourself, is that going to fix what's going on here, or what's the deal? I mean, it doesn't matter what coach it is. Jordan Bennington's still going to be a crazy person, and
Yeah.
so it's that seems to me to be the focus of this team over the last couple of months. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't heard any rumblings about it, but you never know, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I think Chiefs had about enough of Bennington's. You know what?
Uh-huh.
I think he gets annoyed with them. But yeah, so Bennington played one NHL game in the 15-16 season, then went away for a couple of years. Was on loan, I think, to the Providence Bruins, as a matter of fact, to find him a crease. Then in 18-19, he comes up. He plays 32 games, starts 30, goes 24-5-1, a 9.27 save percentage, a 1.89 goals against average, 5 goose eggs. But yeah, had a good year after that too, at 9.12 and 2.56 and 3 shouts. Then it dropped to a 9.10, then a 9.01 last year, and this year's at an 8.91 save percentage. So it's been kind of falling apart for him as it's fallen apart. And he hasn't played a lot of games. He's 29 years old, but he's only played 219 games because he couldn't get to the league.
Yeah.
And to me, he looks like one of those guys just went on a heater, Bry. Had a couple of good years, and that's how he'll be remembered.
And this Blues team, they need to fix the defensive side of things, and Bennington maybe himself too. I mean, they're giving up not an insignificantly higher number of goals than the Flyers are this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen what the Flyers have given up this year. I mean, it's been rather remarkable. But just in terms of goals against, Flyers at 252, and the Blues are at 283. They've given up more shots than the Flyers have this year too. So it's there's definitely a defensive disconnect there that they need to solve, because they've got goal scorers, they've got guys putting up points, but they can't keep it out of their net.
Yeah, I mean, they've given up the 4th most goals per average per game at 3.68. Flyers 11th on that list at 3.32. Think about that, right? But
exactly.
You said St. Louis, though. I think they're 15th in the NHL, 3.22 goals per game. But again, you look at all the top teams when it comes to goals allowed per games played. They're the best teams in the NHL. That's the telltale sign to success in the NHL. The Bruins give up the least. The Carolina Hurricanes are there at second. The Wild, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, Toronto, New Jersey, and Winnipeg. I mean, those are like your top 10 Stanley Cup favorite teams, with the exception maybe of the Lightning, who are 13th on that list.
Right. Again, this is the last time out. The Blues, it was like a tale of the exact two things you mentioned. They went down 3-0 to Boston, and then they were able to come back and tie it. And they ended up, I believe, dropping in overtime, but they were able to come back and tie it. And this too is when you look at the coaching situation and whether you need a change or whether you just stay the course. The Blues were extremely streaky this year. They lost 8 in a row in the first month of the season, 3 weeks of the season, really. And so they were 3-8 out of the gate. They won their first 3 and then lost 8 in a row. And then, they reel off 7 wins in a row, and then they lose 6 of their next 7. And, after that, they had a long point streak going. They only had like 3 regulation losses over the course of a month. And then it just would keep going. 2 losses, 2 wins, 5 losses, 3 wins, 3 losses. I mean, they were not able to get any sort of consistency going. And, again, where does that fall on? I don't know if that falls on the coach. I don't know if that falls on something else, whether this, it's some young guys in the back end or whatever. But, that's just the kind of thing that they need to iron out here.
Yeah, to me, they're a toilet seat team. You can't put a toilet seat half up or half down.
Nope.
It's either up or it's down. And they've been. I mean, I looked at that on Flyers Daily. I mean, they got streaks where they put together a lot of wins. There's a lot of green on their schedule. Then all of a sudden, there's another blotch right after that of 7 losses, 8 losses. I think they had a 7, an 8, and a 9 game loss streak this season. So what does it tell you? That it tells you that they're right in the middle of the NHL and a 500 hockey team. That's what it equals, because that's exactly what they are. You are what your record says you are.
And again, just anecdotally here, you were asking about, what the sentiment is here in the city. I'm looking back here, and I believe they sold out every home game this year. So it's still there. They still have the support. There's one that they played at home on Halloween. That wasn't a sellout. Everything else has been. Now, granted, a sellout here is smaller than Wells Fargo. This place seats 18,096. So a little bit of a smaller venue, but yeah, they've had the fan support all year long, and as long as that's there, that's probably a good thing. If that starts to fall off, then you start thinking, all right, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, this is. I'm seeing this on Charlie O'Connor's Twitter. One of only a handful of times the NHL Coaches Association tweeted this out, that 2 First Nations coaches have faced off against each other in the NHL. Rocky Thompson is going to get the head coaching duties tonight, as John Tortorella will either be up there in the press box where you are with all the answers, or I'll be back watching it on TV in the locker room. So Rocky Thompson and Craig Berube are the 2 coaches tonight, 2 First Nations members. So that's a little side element to this game. Now, Brian, go ahead.
They said that was the first time? Is that what you said?
Yeah, one of only a handful of times.
I was going to say, I thought we had one just in the last couple of years. That's why I was wondering. But
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it certainly doesn't happen very often.
I think it was Craig Berube and Ted Nolan. Was Ted Nolan First Nation?
Yes, he is. Definitely is.
Yeah.
And
so I think that's one of them.
I didn't know Rocky all that well when he came here, but I didn't even know about his background until probably halfway through the season. So definitely a milestone there.
Yeah, and we're going to be coming on here in a couple minutes on the radio. We'll join our radio audience. Did Ronnie Adder take a warm-up, Bri?
Should have. Again, I'm not used to watching warm-ups, but that was the plan.
Yeah, I'm seeing the lines tweeted out here from Gianna Hahn, and she's saying that Provorov, York, Sanheim, and Ristolainen, Sealer, and D'Angelo are the D pairs. She doesn't have him listed at all. She has Bellows in with Hazen Van Riemsdyk, though. So I imagine maybe Bellows comes out and Lemieux moves up to that line. Then Lawton and Delarier are the 2 extra forwards, and they go 11 and 7 here.
Yeah,
maybe that was just the pairings that she ran, and Adder didn't run line rushes.
I'm looking down the numbers here, and the scratches right now are Lisinski and Braun.
Okay, then he's playing.
I don't think we have any extra players other than that here.
And Bellows will be the other guy that will be scratched.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yes, you're right. We do need to get one more scratch off of and it just happened. So yeah, Bellows is the scratch.
Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't have made much sense to call up Ronnie Adder to take a look at him and then not play him.
Right. That would be an error in judgment. Yes.
Yeah. That would be a wasted call up. He's played 15 NHL games. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, 8 PIMs, -2. This year with Lehigh Valley, he's having a good year. 64 games, 11 goals, 19 assists, 30 points, 35 PIMs, and a +9. So Ronnie Adder continuing his development very nicely.
Again, they're looking at specific guys to bring up for specific reasons. They're limited in who they can bring up, and they pinpointed him for a reason. There was something about what he's been doing down there that they liked and wanted him to come up here so they could take a look at him. It was interesting this morning. He was out on the ice for a long time. Came off the ice, very tight turnaround to get on the first bus here, so he didn't get to talk.
Join our radio audience here, Bri.
Extensively, but he definitely.
I thought that was the end of the song. It's not.
So did I. Yeah. No, I asked him. I said, "Do you feel more confident than you did when you did this a year ago at this time?" Because it was right around now last year that he came up for his NHL debut, and he said, "Absolutely." Obviously he's got a lot more NHL time under his belt, and he's been up here, played this level, and now gone back to the American League and been even more effective there. So be nice to see where he's at here with a little bit of a measuring stick. And for John Tortorella, it's the first time he's really seen him a whole lot at all after an extended stint in the minors. So we'll everybody get a look at him today.
He's one of those guys you can't not like.
Oh my God,
huge smile, great personality. He's a coach on the bench. He's a big, strong kid. Everything you like, everything about him.
That was apparent from the moment we drafted him.
Yep.
It was the last normal draft before the pandemic, and he came over to my station. You and I think, were probably on. I don't know if we were on the air at that point or not. It was around 3 pick, but sat down and just all smiles, everything like that, and we're kind of laughing at the time because you look at this background and.
All right.
He's in the USHL with 126 penalty minutes this season. It's always the nicest guys that go down there and play like that,
We're going to join our radio audience here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Torts is going to take a liking to Ronnie Adder.
I think so. He's kind of the kind of player that I think he likes to have around.
Yeah, no doubt.
He was an astounding plus 47 in 48 games his last year in the USHL, too.
Yeah, that's insane. Plus 47 in 48 games. Oof. Put up some points, too. 65 points that year. That's right. It is Flyers game day brought to you by Betway. Flyers in St. Louis tonight. The gateway to the West. They're not going west. They're going south after this game to Dallas. But it's the Flyers and the Blues tonight. Brian Smith, Jason Martinez getting you ready for this game. Tim Saunders, Steve Oates will be along shortly with the countdown to face-off and the first period action. And Ronnie Adder, we were just talking about him on our stream show. He's in the lineup tonight, and a guy that has done a really nice job this year with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Got 11 goals, as a matter of fact. We know about that booming shot that he's got. And, Torts talked about the job that Ian LaPerriere has done down there. Well, Ronnie Adder's done a good job down there. Everybody the Flyers have called up this season has come up and shown very well, and that looks to continue tonight with Adder.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only 30 points contributed over the course of the year down in Lehigh Valley, but he's also a +9, and if I'm not mistaken, that's fourth on the roster with them. So, he's definitely been a contributor in all aspects of the game that he's expected to influence. And so, he's, when you look at a guy like him, you also got Adam Yinning down there who has not seen NHL time as of yet. He may be ready next year. The Flyers might have a little bit of a good problem here as far as who to include on this blue line next year. And that's one of the reasons he's here, because they want to see where he's at. John Tortorella has never seen him play an NHL game. So, this is going to be the first step in taking the stance of where he's at.
Yeah, Emil Andrea is another guy down there that's really peeled a lot of eyes open. I'll be talking to him actually tomorrow for Thursday's Flyers Daily, so I'm looking forward to that conversation. Let's get to the Flyer line combinations in this game. They're going to run 11 and 7. Here's the combinations. Frost going to be on that top line once again. Boy, is he playing great with Owen Tippett and Travis Konechny. Now, TK's been back 2 games after missing 16. 2 games, 2 goals. 5 shots on goal in each of those games in over 20 minutes, including 22-38 in the last one. I'm going with TK with another goal tonight, Bri.
I'm really happy with the fact that he's come back, jumped in the lineup like he never left. He had again that one year where he wasn't doing hardly anything before Alain Vigneault was fired. And then when that happened, his game took off. And he had the same type of year this year after getting going again, and you're worried. All right, well, he's going great. Now he gets hurt. How's he going to come back? Well, he's come back and hasn't missed a beat. So that's been very encouraging to see that. And when you have him up there with a couple of other guys that seem to perhaps be on their way to becoming dynamic forwards, it's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, that'll be a line to keep an eye on tonight for sure. And that is a line that the opposition is going to have to keep in check. Cates Farabee and Wade Allison on the second line. Kevin Hayes in the middle with James Van Riemsdyk. And line rushes were Kiefer Bellows. He is scratched in the game. So probably Brendan Lemieux goes to that right wing's position there. Lawton and Delarier as well. Provorov and York together once again. Sanheim and Ristolainen, Sealer and D'Angelo, and Ronnie Adder. And Sam Ersson gets the start tonight against Jordan Binnington. And, Torts talked about this today, Bri, that, some of the veteran players, guys like Kevin Hayes, guys like James Van Riemsdyk, maybe aren't seeing the ice time and usage that they're used to. But the situation here right now is to put these young players into those situations to see how they react. And those guys might not like it, but you said they're pros and they're handling it.
Yeah, they know what's going on. And again, that's part of the reason that for this 11 and 7, it is not to gain any sort of advantage because you have 7D out there or any sort of strategic initiative, it's because with 11 forwards, they can give more ice time to the guys that they want to kind of give them a bump going into the offseason here. And so that's why where you're seeing that. And it's even more furthered by them getting some of the minutes that that the older guys normally would get, especially if this was a playoff situation or whatnot. So they're trying to make the most out of these games they have left in terms of setting the team up for success next year. And, this is the way they want to go about it.
I remember talking to Kim Dillaball on our elevator ride when Sam Emerson first came up. And he said he's got a ton of confidence. He's got a swagger. And I'd rather have to pull a guy back that has that than push a guy towards that, because then it's unnatural. But I wonder, is Sam Emerson a guy that's ever dropped the mitts and had a goalie fight? The Swedes are very gentle people. Yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. As you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, well, it's not a goalie situation, but that's kind of where they're at Cam York. Like, Torts wants more swagger out of Cam York, and he's having trouble getting it. So I can see why Kim would rather have him go that way, and especially when you're in net, because you need that swagger there. And not that Carter Hart doesn't have a swagger, but he's got a special ability to forget goals that he lets in very quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of times it takes that swagger to have that.
Yeah. And it's funny because York is a super confident guy. Right. He needs a little more swag. We need to get him a little bit of swag. We'll find some swag for him this all season. We'll ship it out to the cool kids area out in California. All right, stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, they've got the countdown to face-off, followed by all the first period action from St. Louis as the Flyers take on the Blues tonight. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day, brought to you by Betway on the Flyers Broadcast Network.